It's about time to get this thing finished. Now the last time you guys saw this, it was right after paint and clear coat. Between then and now, it had a bunch of dust and other contaminants fall down into the clear as it was drying. Now, my old sanding sponges were kind of worn out and wasn't really cutting through this 2K like they used to, so I went and got some new ones. Now since sanding and polishing, buffing, it's monotonous, it's not fun, nobody enjoys it, so I just cut all that out and got straight to just the final product. Now, if for any reason you guys do want to see that, I go into a whole lot more detail on my BMW M1 build. Other than that, it's not something I really record because I also listen to a bunch of music in the background, just block out time and space and just power through it. Alright, with that out of the way, let's get on to the actual rest of this build and get this kit finished. Now starting off, I'm going to paint the cowl area for the windshield wipers black and then just run a coat of black through the entire interior on the inside of the car there. Now I do realize a lot of this is out of frame. I do apologize. When I set up the camera, I try to get it to where none of the overspray gets on it, so I'm sorry. I tried my best. To do this, I'm just using some of the good old-fashioned Tamiya X18 semi-gloss black. Oh, I just got a little notification on my phone here. I got a new subscriber. If I pronounce this wrong, I am sorry, but Gilberto Munoz, welcome aboard, my friend. Now it's really hard to tell on camera, but I used that one air gun, the broken one, because the pressure's all fiddly, so it sputters a little bit. That actually ended up being in my favor here, because it created that texture that the injection molding plastic that cars use almost perfectly. Now speaking of texture, I also chose to put these on after the clear because they do look like they have a texture. And I didn't really want any of that drowned out from all the clear coats that I was just going to pile on top of it. Because after all the coats of paint and clear, I had to make a little bit of modifications, namely to the windshield. What I had to do was break all the sharp edges around the windshield and create a bevel going all the way around it. All the paint and clear pulled up inside the recess where this was supposed to sit, so it wasn't really sitting flush. So I figured it'd be easier just to modify the windshield as opposed to going there and scraping all that out. And it looks like it worked. That is a perfect fit. Whenever I paint these like this, I always go over a thin layer first just to kind of seal in the edge of the tape. Now once I'm convinced there's going to be no bleed through, then I'll go back and do the heavier coats. For those of you that are new here, never seen how I do my masking for the edge of the windows, as you could see, I go around the outline with a very thin strip of tape and then just kind of go in and fill in the rest. It's probably not the best method, but I don't have the dexterity or the precision to just lay down a single piece of tape and just slightly cut around the edge. Now, if you remember back in, I don't know, video 2, I done some homemade photo etch. So now I'm just going to be putting all that to use. And the bottom of this looks like a complete glue bomb. I am not going to show it to you. It's that bad. Not really sure how, but this one little clip got out of sequence, so just imagine the next clip and this one reversed. It'll make more sense. I threw this in here thinking it would be like an intermission, like a halfway point. Not really sure. Now do take note of this entire piece right here because I got 2 more windows to glue in, and then I'm going to set it off to the side and dry. We'll be back to this later. And here is that piece I was just talking about. Normally I like to test fit everything just so when I go to hit the record button I kind of look like I know what I'm doing. This thing was such a pain that once it was in, it's in. It's real easy, just 4 little pins, but just making it fit with the windows installed was a hassle. Now this rear bonnet piece, it did not fit that well either. But oddly enough, if you go look at the real car, this is pretty accurate. It's got air gaps all around it, and it just generally looks like it doesn't fit or it's not latched. And we're back to the windshield. As you guys may have noticed, I don't really follow the instructions per se, and I don't follow like the build sequence. Just whatever part has dry paint and ready to be installed next, that's what I go with. And speaking of not following the instructions, I'm going to install the interior into the body and not onto the chassis. The instructions say to glue this entire assembly to the chassis, then install it. I don't really see that being easy. The dashboard has to fit up over the cowl. This has to fit on 2 pins on the rear. And as you saw, the door sills, it kind of snapped over it to lock it all in place. Now how one is supposed to get inside there to make all that happen with the chassis in place is beyond me. If you haven't built this kit and plan to, do it like this. It'll save you some headaches. Because the chassis, all it needs now is just a little bit of wiggling from the body, a little bit of stretching it out, and it just pops into place. No glue required. Actually, none of that. The interior or this chassis required any glue. Now these doors, this was really the only letdown of the kit. They did not fit that well and looked completely out of place. Now what I should have done, since I knew I was going to glue them in place, was glue them in before paint. Just feather everything in and just make them look good, but I don't know. I'm an idiot. Remember, I'm from Kansas. We only do just rear tags, so that's all I ever put on my kits. Now, if you remember in the last video, I was kind of hesitant to run these Aoshima tires on this kit, thinking since they were a thinner profile that the tire to fender gap would be too much. This is actually not bad. I could live with this, and it sits level. I'm happy. And done. Let's wipe these fingerprints off and get some glamour shots going. But first, let's get a little artsy and show off that volcano orange paint. As you guys realize, I am still not a photographer. Not at all. So I've already got the next build picked out. A lot of people on Instagram are doing one right now, and I have the itch, so I think I'm going to do mine too. That, however, is the end. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, subscribe, like, comment, let me know what you think.